I think let's start with probably I'd say the biggest news story of the week is the CD Projekt Red hack.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so shame. When it rains, it pours.
Yeah,
the story
they're
comes.
just not getting a break.
No, they just can't catch a break. The story comes way of Eurogamer, but it was widely reported because basically CD Projekt Red tweeted out saying that their servers had been exposed. Someone did manage to get in and basically stole source code for Gwent, Witcher 3, Cyberpunk 2077, even as the ransom note suggests, a new version of The Witcher 3, which I assume is the console...
Enhanced version, yeah.
Yeah, the enhanced version that they're bringing out to consoles and PC sometime. The ransom note was so cringy. It was just like... It was like 16-year-old child hacker in a basement type cringy, but you definitely know that it's not someone like that if they can pull something like this off.
They got into CD Projekt Red, so...
Yeah. They definitely know what they're doing, but wow, it was interesting that CD Projekt Red tweeted out the whole ransom note, which is fascinating.
It's like, but my favorite comment I think was like, it took the whole like American movie approach, like we do not negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah, they really did. They're like, we will not be negotiating with these hackers. But basically the ransom note said that if CD Projekt Red didn't pay them a certain amount, that they would obviously start uploading what they found onto the internet. And also, according to them, contacting their contacts in games journalism to expose CD Projekt Red. And let me tell you, there is no journalist worth their salt that would touch this.
Yeah.
There is a difference between investigative journalism and information obtained illegally. And if you say you got this information from somewhere, like CD Projekt Red will know what they've put out and what they haven't. Like you will get sued into the sun.
Yeah.
So according to some reports later this week, though, the source code was sold for $7 million.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, the starting bid for the whole, they call it the complete cash, was set at $1,000.
Wow.
And
absolutely
I was like,
nothing.
I'm like, that seems very low for this massive news story you've got here. And so you said $7 million.
Yeah, even that seems pretty small to me, to be entirely honest.
It's interesting because like it's a source code, right? So if you were I don't know, like for argument's sake, a Take-Two or like one of these big people who has studios that could benefit from the source code, you would spend that money. But you're right, 7 million seems a bit low for the content of what you're getting there.
I'm just not sure what you gather from that because they use their own internal engine. So
I don't
if you're
know.
getting source code for an engine you don't even have access to, I'm not sure how much you can glean from that. Again, I don't work in that space, so I don't know, and I don't know who'd have paid. But I also think you're just asking for trouble because there are definite markers in ways studios do certain things that could be identified, and if a studio is found to be using, I don't think any AAA big publisher or studio would have paid for this, but any small outfit that thinks they can get away with something like this, they will get caught. Absolutely. I'm waiting for the story where maybe not the hackers getting caught, but whoever paid for this gets caught. I think the most interesting thing out of there would have been they apparently got like internal emails and memos about HR policies and pay for employees and stuff. And I think from a journalistic perspective, that's the stuff that's far more interesting. But again, can't touch it because,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. It's fascinating. I guess CD Projekt Red just had to take it on the chin.
Yeah.
If some unannounced projects get announced, it's not the end of the world. It's not according to their schedule. Obviously, they wouldn't like it, but they can deal with it. Especially now, this in a way has kind of garnered some sympathy for them because I think most people can agree.
I mean, this is not cool.
It's like, it's not cool.
You can criticize them for shipping a buggy game and being deceitful. But I mean, come on. No one deserves to be targeted like this. Doesn't matter how.
This is it's straight up illegal.
Yeah.
It's illegal. It's crap for them. It only hurts their efforts going forward. So no, I don't agree at all with this. So yeah, but that happened.
My goodness.
You pick the next one. Go.
Shall we talk about the Last of Us movie? Very
TV show.
Well, not movie, TV show. They have cast
HBO's The Last of Us. Yeah,
they have cast Pedro Pascal to play Joel, and then Bella Ramsey to play Ellie. Which I think are two very solid choices, because I mean, so everyone knows Pedro Pascal. I loved him in Game of Thrones. I thought he's great. Well, I think he's great in The Mandalorian. And
dude is just going from strength to strength. He's like,
it's actually
everywhere
insane
lately.
How he's just appeared. I mean, and that tends to happen, it seems, with Hollywood and stuff. It's like people see this talent.
He's
and go,
the in actor now. Yeah.
Kiss your stardom goodbye, Rock. Yeah, there's a new man in.
No more Dwayne Johnson. Now it's just Pedro Pascal.
And then Bella Ramsey, she had a few appearances in Game of Thrones as one of the. I can't remember what family she represented, but I know
I can't remember her name.
She basically was, pledged allegiance to House Stark in the North. And I remember
she led like a whole house as like this tiny girl, but she was so like fierce and fiery. Yeah, I really liked her.
She had her own little arc, and I thought she was, I think people really liked her as this really feisty, fiery, super young girl who
strong leader.
Led her clan into battle. And I mean, I don't know. That was like 2-3 years ago, so I don't know how. I mean, because she was young then, she's obviously not like a fully developed adult. I don't know how old she is now, but based on that, I think she would make a good Ellie. So yeah.
No, I think like you said, this is a strong casting. It's actually weird that especially in terms of Bella Ramsey, I would have never guessed that.
Yeah,
because
likewise.
But even Pedro Pascal would have not penned him as being cast for this. But now that he is, like,
I mean, if you look at these images, you see them next to their people. Like, maybe not so much Bella, but definitely Pedro. I'm like, how did no one ever think of him as a Joel? He's got like that, slightly aged look, very gruff. I mean, come on,
definitely.
He needs to grow out his beard a bit more.
And I mean, I guess this has been the sore point for a lot of people this week. Is like, they, especially in the case of Bella Ramsey, they're like, oh, she doesn't look like Ellie. It's like, that doesn't. If you're just casting based on the likeness, then you're asking for trouble. Like,
I mean, and not only
these actors go through auditions, they go through show reels to see how much chemistry there is between the two leads. There's lots more than just the looks.
Yeah, not only that, it's like they're going to make her look like Ellie as close as they can in terms of like clothing choices and appearance and hair. And I mean, like, you can only go so far.
No, I'm not super fussed with that. Like, people have their own like fantasy castings in their head, and it's always nice to be like, man, he or she would look great in this role. But at the end of the day, I think that is just one component of a casting. And I mean, if you just take an example like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, the whole reason he was hired was because of his chemistry with Robert Downey Jr. It was there's interviews with him where he's like, as soon as I clicked with him in the interview, I knew I was going to get that role, and that's why he got that role, and he's been perfect for it. And he doesn't even look like a traditional Peter Parker.
That's what I was going to say. When he was cast, my first thought was like, he doesn't actually look like a Peter Parker. Like, but now
super young.
Yeah, now I can't imagine it being anyone else. He is
exactly.
So I think give them a shot. Okay, well, I suppose just to bounce into that same sort of vein of news. This just blows my mind. The cast of this movie. So we've got Jack Black.
That's crazy.
Is voicing Claptrap in the Borderlands movie. He joins the likes of. Did you say it was Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis got cast as.
I think it's Tannis. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Tannis.
You've got Kevin Hart as Roland, and then you've got Kate Blanchett as Lilith, which is mental.
I don't know. This is just a
how is this movie attracting so much talent? Like, I just don't get it. When this movie was announced, I was like, okay, Borderlands movie, whatever. And then they brought on Eli Roth, who, like, I don't think he has tons of great movies, but I was just like, this is just going to be one of those.
What movies has he made? Didn't he make I've gone blank now. What does his portfolio entail?
I think the latest movie I've watched of his, let me just make sure that it is him, was
The trash talk
a movie with Keanu Reeves called Knock Knock.
Oh no!
Which was terrible.
Don't say bad things about Keanu.
Yeah, it was Eli Roth.
Okay.
I thought that movie was just bad. So, yeah, like again, he's touch and go, but I cannot deny that the cast he's managed to bring together for this is just exceptional. I think Jack Black for Claptrap is such a perfect casting.
Yeah, I don't know how the movie. I don't know what the movie's going to be like. I mean,
I don't know what it's even going to be about. Like,
it's going to be good, silly fun, I presume. But
yeah,
my goodness,
I'm more curious to see like the first trailer, like because a lot of Borderlands comes down to its style. Like, are they just going to dress up the actors in that like
cel shaded look?
Cel shaded look, or they're going to take because I think it would look super weird as a live action cel shaded thing. I'm not sure that would work at all. But
I don't know.
I just can't believe this movie keeps every time a new casting comes. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
I need to watch this thing now. Like, absolutely.
I mean, who's still outstanding? They need to cast Brick. Let me tell you. The perfect Brick, Jason. What's his name? Statham. Just give him some steroids, and he is that dude, 100%.
Or you just get The Rock, honestly. At this point,
Kevin Hart's
The Rock as Brick.
So, wait, which other characters? Oh, Mordecai, the sniper. Who's going to play that?
Adam Driver.
Oh my goodness! So, and I presume, I mean, this is Borderlands 1, so I don't think they're going to introduce any of the later. Maybe.
I thought Tannis was in the second one. So
no, I think she appears in the second one, but I have vague memories of her being in the first one. I could be wrong. Maybe she's not.
I suspect they'll bring in characters from the second because there's characters from the second game that are super popular, like Moxie and Tiny Tina.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I forgot about those two. My goodness.
Get Ella Fanning as Tiny Tina.
My goodness, this is interesting. You pick the next story.
Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is coming out June 11th. That was just announced. They put out a small little teaser that was pretty much footage we had seen already. Nothing.
No.
Are you going to buy a copy on Best Buy right now?
I wanted to just make the image bigger. Oh my goodness. Okay. That's not happening. We're just going to stick on this little image.
So yeah, it's going to be obviously $70 because that's what games are now. There's also a digital deluxe edition for $80 that comes with some costumes and exclusive weapons and stuff. But yeah, I mean, this game originally was meant to be launch window for the PS5. I don't think June 11th is launch window anymore, but you know, we're in a pandemic, so I'm not surprised that maybe this is out a little later than usual. But the first two big exclusives for the PS5 would have both come from Insomniac.
That's crazy.
Mean, Miles Morales and Ratchet and Clank. I saw on Twitter this week, I was reminded that Sony bought Insomniac for just over 200 million. And I think it's the steal of the century.
I mean, that is a lot of money, but Insomniac have really
Phil Spencer must be kicking himself for not doing that earlier.
Yeah, they've really proven I mean, how long ago did they get bought by Sony, though?
I think 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, yeah, that's...
that's crazy. I mean, it was weird. It was always assumed that they were just owned.
They just owned, yeah.
It was only after Spider-Man launched that Sony bought Insomniac.
I think that is yeah, it's a great purchase, and they put out great games. Although I have not played Ratchet and Clank, not a single one. I should play. I know the remake on the PS4.
Yes, you should. It's very good.
I did grab it on PS Plus, so got it.
I played a lot of them on PS2, and I've always, they came from that era where Naughty Dog was making Jak and Daxter, and Insomniac was making Ratchet and Clank, and Sucker Punch was making Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
So they're all from that sort of mascotty 3D platformer sort of realm, but I feel like Ratchet and Clank has evolved since then, and even the remake, it was a remake of the first game, but it stands so well today. It's such a great game, and just beautiful as well. Really, really good looking.
I've just realized that my mouse cursor, for whatever reason, duplicates on your webcam.
Oh, that's interesting.
Look at this.
Oh, I see there, yeah. So is your mouse cursor recorded? I assume it is.
I presume it is. Apologies.
My goodness.
Okay, what else do we have? We've got. Okay, you chose this in video
Um,
story. I don't know what it
yeah,
is.
so this is a small, I guess it's very insider heavy. I get okay. So if you've been playing games on PC with an NVIDIA graphics card, you 100% know of DLSS. Especially, well, I guess it is exclusive to the 20 and new 30 series cards, but essentially what DLSS is a AI upscaling feature for the cards. So it allows you to run games at lower internal resolutions, and then it uses AI to upscale them to your native resolution. What that means is an almost indiscernible image hit. Like Digital Foundry has looked at a lot of comparison shots, especially with the second iteration of DLSS. And in most cases, it's very difficult to tell the differences between native and just, an upscaled image. And in some cases, especially in Control, the upscaled image actually looks better because it's able to produce sharper details in areas where traditional rendering would, have smaller issues.
Okay.
But on top of that, because it's rendering at a lower resolution, your performance is just much higher. So think about playing a game at 4K, which is actually running at 1080p and then being upscaled correctly to 4K. Like, it's the only reason I can play Control with really high frame rates and ray tracing on a 4K display. Like, it produces magic like that. So it's a really, really cool piece of tech that so far has been only limited to some games because it had to be like specifically implemented. But now NVIDIA's worked with Epic Games and they've brought it as a native plugin to Unreal Engine 4. So any developer on Unreal Engine 4 can just load up the Unreal Asset Store, just pop it into their game. And with DLSS 2.0, the AI model doesn't need to be trained specifically for the game you're making. It will just train itself. So it seems very low barrier to entry for developers for a very big benefit.
Yeah.
And considering Unreal Engine 4 is used, it's probably still the most widely used engine in games today. You can hopefully expect to see support for this in a lot of games coming soon, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome tech. AMD really needs to get on their competitor, because if they produce something that's similar and then they're able to port that to the new consoles, that would be a game changer. Like, suddenly the consoles just have far much more power to work with. So yeah.
My word. Well, gaming, technology.
What else should we fly through these last three?
I picked this one purely because I've seen it everywhere. This indie game called Valheim has sold 1 million copies in just a week.
Unreal.
And so I've never watched any gameplay. I don't know actually what it's about, but I've seen lots of local streamers streaming it. I don't know if it's like a third person something.
So from reading it, it's like a third person survival game, but you can play with 1 to 10 people.
Okay.
So it, in that respect, it reminds me of like maybe The Forest or Rust
just
or something like that.
A Norse setting.
It doesn't look like a sort of game I would like, but I can understand why this is absolute like streamer fodder. This looks like the sort of thing that, especially being in early access, it must be weird and cool things happening in it right now.
It's just interesting that I feel like maybe 3-4 years ago, well, but Norse games that touch on Norse mythology haven't really been a thing. But it seems like with Hellblade and God of War and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it's like there's all this these big publishers working with Norse mythology, which I've just
it's weird how they all come
before.
to that conclusion at around the same time. It's just strange.
Yeah.
I guess they also like, global trends skew one way or the other. So for some reason, Norse mythology stuff is in right now. I mean, even look at TV series on Netflix. You've got like Vikings, and Netflix has put out like so many of their own Viking-like shows. So I don't know, it's everywhere.
Good Lord. And then you chose, what is this story? Gorgeous. Oh, yes.
Spiritfarer.
Spiritfarer is getting
one of the best games of 2020. It's getting more free content throughout 2021.
Yeah.
There's going to be basically 3 DLC drops, as you can see there. And each one will essentially introduce a new spirit. So that's a new character. The final one will introduce 2. And it's just a bunch of like quality of life updates. They're expanding some of the co-op functionality, adding more buildings and resources for you to use.
Hang on. This game has
co-op. It's like
co-op.
small pieces. Pardon?
Does this game have co-op?
Yeah. I think
What?
the other person plays as the cat. Yeah.
Of course. I did not know that, but that is amazing.
Yeah, I think that's how I haven't played a co-op, but I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're also adding more story stuff. Stella's going to get more of her story filled in, which I think, ties into one of the spirits coming. The first one is Lily, who's apparently Stella's sister. So
okay. Who's actually
mentioned in the main game.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, she's mentioned. I mean, I rolled credits on Spiritfarer a month ago, 6 weeks ago. And let me tell you, one of the most wholesome games I've played.
It's so
super
good,
chill, very rewarding, and just a good time. Like it's
prepared to cry.
I've just I've basically just said it's just food for the soul. It's like it's such a wholesome game, and I can happily recommend it to everyone. Like there's
I just want to hug Atul again. He's
good
just
old
so good.
Uncle Atul. So yeah, this what's interesting is that when you finish the game, you basically there's like an end thing that happens. You basically get to load back into before that thing triggers. So I presume that if you finish the game, you just load up there and you can just activate this DLC. Which is probably a matter of you.
I think it's like new spirits and new islands as well to visit. So I assume that's how it's
I don't think they'll expand the map. I could be wrong. I think they'll just add to the existing one because the existing one is massive. So
it's quite large,
it's
and
huge.
And traveling to and from islands is pretty cool because it gives you. I like that it's like you pick an area, you travel there in your boat, and while you're doing that, that's when you're doing your like light management stuff on your boat. I think it's really good.
Great game. So that's cool.
Last story, BlizzCon.
I think so. This is happening next weekend.
This week.
Is it this week now? So I mean,
it's 19th to 22nd, isn't it? Oh, 20th to the 21st. So it is next weekend. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just touching on this because we spoke about it last week. I just don't know what they're going to show at BlizzCon, but apparently they've got obviously a whole lineup. So we'll feature what's next for Diablo and World of Warcraft, which no shocker there. But so we've got the whole list here. There's obviously going to be some Hearthstone stuff, Diablo.
I'm sure there'll be Overwatch stuff as well. Yeah.
But I'm just interested to see if they have any surprises or, I don't like what is happening with StarCraft, the game.
Carbot animation.
Oh, yes.
Hell yeah. I'll watch that.
Which I guess that is news.
Was it last week that we spoke about Blizzard confirming that Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 aren't coming this year?
Next year. Yeah. That's why I'm like, what are they showing this year then? We'll have to just wait and see, I guess. One more week.
They really have to show something.
Yeah.
They have to show something substantial to kind of like counter that blow, I think.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
But again, like we were talking about last week, Blizzard doesn't have the same cachet really as it used to.
No, it's
I don't feel as excited
sad. I used to
about anything.
Love Blizzard. I mean, look, I still think Blizzard do great things, but it just feels like they are no longer the giants they were. I mean, maybe that's just my perception. I don't know. It just feels like that.
No, I tend to agree with that. It just doesn't feel the same anymore.
Okay, but that is news. All done and dusted.